Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. In this episode, I take a short but interesting solo hike to the top of Combs Peak and meet some interesting folk along the way. A PCT Section Hiker, two Anza Borrego Desert State Park Trail maintenance workers, and Discovery Channel's Matt Graham on his through hike of the PCT. Well, not really, but it sure looked like him. You'll get a chance to meet retired Marine Trey McBride a little later in the adventure. At an elevation of 6,193 feet, Combs Peak is not only the tallest point in Anza Borrego State Park, but one of the more remote. It also ranks as the 5th highest peak in San Diego County and lies just off the Pacific Crest Trail as it passes between the Anza Borrego Desert section and the Idlewild or San Jacinto Mountain sections. Combs Peak lies just inside the northwest corner of the park in the Bucksnort range of mountains and has some pretty impressive views from the summit. There are not only views of the two highest peaks in Southern California, San Gorgonio and San Jacinto, there's also a view of the second lowest point on the American continent, the Salton Sea. The sea surface is 227 feet below sea level. That's 55 feet higher than that of Death Valley's Badwater Basin. Remember, we went there a few episodes back when we hiked up Telescope Peak. According to my favorite trail app, All Trails, the hike to the top of Combs Peak is relatively short with some mild elevation gains. Well, that's until you reach the spur trail to the summit. That's where the real work begins. I'll have to scramble and claw my way through overgrowth and manzanita up 600 vertical feet in less than half a mile to reach the top and those amazing views. Well, it ought to be worth it, even though there's absolutely no trees or shade to protect me from the desert sun. Oh no, not again. The coyote fire ripped through here in 2003 and just about incinerated everything on the mountain, especially the ribbonwood and chamise-dominated chaparral. Since then, those scratchy shrubs have made a big comeback, particularly on the lower and east-facing slopes. Numerous seedling coulter pines. They also warned me to watch for poison oak on this hike and check for ticks. And I almost forgot to mention that damn poodle dog bush. From my house here in Temecula, I'll head east on State Route 79 to Chihuahua Valley Road and make a left turn past the Hawk Watch Winery and go east on Chihuahua Valley Road. At a turn in the road, I'm going to continue straight ahead on a dirt road called Lost Valley Road. This road splits again with a well-graded road leading off to the left, while a rougher dirt road goes off to the right. And figures. I'm going to take the road to the right and continue for another bone-jarring 5 miles down into Lost Valley. See, I told you this place was remote. The Pacific Crest Trail crosses Lost Valley Road near this point. I'll park on the left where there's room for a few vehicles and begin my hike. Okay, so if you haven't noticed in the past, Google Maps sometimes captures some crazy shit, like this guy taking a piss in the bushes right next to the trailhead. Well, that's what it looks like he's doing. I don't know, what do you think? No wonder it's in one of the more remote parts of the park. I didn't even know this section was inside Anza Borrego. If you look at the Anza Borrego map, you can easily tell that it just barely squeaks inside the park's boundaries. It's only about 36 miles from my house, but it looks like it's going to take over an hour with the winding Chihuahua Valley Road and the dirt Lost Valley roads. The nearest place along the PCT to get some grub from here is the Paradise Valley Cafe near Garner Valley, some 25 odd miles away before you start climbing up the steep slopes of the San Jacintos going northbound, or unless you hump backward 14 miles to Warner Springs. And if you've ever stopped at the Paradise Cafe before, the bacon cheeseburgers and ice-cold beer are legendary, and I think I'd pick up the pace if it was me just to get there before they closed. When I headed out for this hike, I had this kind of weird, uncomfortable feeling about it. I had just received my COVID shot a few days ago, and I really wasn't feeling my normal self. Side effects of the injection, I guess. When I looked down at my driving directions on my phone, I knew I was near my turn off Highway 79. Here I noticed my first of many odd sights today. An old, rusty, derelict car sitting on top of the roof of a building. And just off to my right was a whole flock of turkeys, 2 toms and about 5 hens, right up next to the road. Close enough that if I rolled down the window, I could just reach out and pluck a tail feather. Just a short ways past the turkeys was the turn onto Chihuahua Valley Road and a large sign, Dead End. I drove slowly past several rustic homes set back into the trees and came across half a truck. Not a stake bed work truck, but an actual truck that looked like it had been sawed in half. I continued until movement caught my eye off to the right. At first I thought it was two cows. No, they were horses. No, that's not it either. What the hell? It was two fully grown camels. No, the one-hump kind. Dromedaries, I guess. Nearby, two large peacocks scattered into the shade of a giant oak tree. Across the street was a large, long, wrought iron fence with odd painted white lions.
All right, well, just when you thought you've seen everything, there's a peacock and two camels. This is definitely a strange place.
Across the street was a large, long, wrought iron fence with odd painted white lions on top. Set back from the road was a 30-foot tall Buddha statue mounted on a large concrete base, flanked by other smaller statues. Just a short ways past this was another large statue, this time of what looked like a woman sitting in the lotus position with her hands clasped in front next to a pagoda. This must be some kind of temple. This is also where Chihuahua Valley Road made a turn.
Well, in fact, it looks like this is where I go straight. This is it right here. Here's the turn. The Shopi Scout Reservation is over there. So looks like this is where I go straight on Lost Valley Road. Well, I can see why they call this Lost Valley.
Thankfully, the dirt road was pretty well graded. I didn't need to put my Jeep into four-wheel drive. I only had to negotiate several muddy puddles and some tight turns until I saw Lost Valley open up through a gap in the mountains. Lost Valley, huh? What a name. Suits it, I guess, because you'd never know it was there. When I was a kid growing up, I used to spend every Saturday morning watching my favorite TV show, Land of the Lost. As I drove mile after mile and deeper into the valley, I watched my cell signal fade away. Back here, I was all alone. There was nobody around if I had car trouble or got hurt on the trail today, climbing up Combs Peak. I'd be forever lost somewhere in Lost Valley. I just hope I don't run into any slee stacks today.
To the land of the lost.
Well, I must be on the right path. I just cruised by the mile number 2 marker, and also walking down the road was a PCT through hiker, the first guy I've seen, first human I've seen, and he had his like he had a ULA pack on, carrying his trekking poles in his hand. I don't know where he was planning on going because he's got at least probably at least a 5-mile walk to get out to the main highway, and there's really nothing around here to get supplies, so I don't really know where he was headed. But maybe he's got a stash here somewhere, who knows. I'm sure I'll run into additional PCT through hikers today, as I'm almost entering the prime season as they start from Mexico, usually around mid-March, and that's about what we are now. Well, I've been driving for about 15-20 minutes here, and I finally come across what looks like the official entrance into Anza Borrego Desert State Park. This must be the boundary. This must be the far western, northwestern boundary right here, as we're continuing up into Lost Valley. Well, now I'm at mile 4, which means I only have about a mile to go to get to the trailhead. Well, I don't know what the story is behind this. What's the Westmeyer Bog? I guess I'll have to do some research when I get back, as I'm continuing up the canyon, not too far from the trailhead. Well, good morning. Today I'm at the trailhead for Combs Peak today, just on the very far corner of Anza Borrego Desert State Park. And I'm right off the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail. The trail that runs from Mexico all the way to Canada actually spits out right here on the other side of the road that I'm on, and it heads up this direction right here. And it's in the, believe it or not, Anza Borrego Desert State Park. We're going to be going to Combs Peak, which is over that direction. It's not that far. It's only about a 2.5-mile hike from here to the peak, but it does involve 600 feet of incline in the last half mile. So the last end of it's pretty steep. We got a pretty good douse of rain and snow a few days ago. It looks like there's a few patches of snow. I brought some micro spikes, but after looking at it, I'm just going to leave them in the car. I don't think I'm going to need them. So it's going to be an easy trip today. It's going to be about a 5-mile, a little less than that 5-mile round trip. And who knows, maybe I'll see something interesting on the PCT. Maybe I'll run into a PCT through hiker. I already ran into one when I was driving up to the trailhead. This was about a 5-mile drive on this dirt road to get here to this spot. So it looks like trail angels have placed some water caches here for through hikers that are on the way up. And, anyway, it's nice this morning. It's about 43 degrees, 42 degrees, and a few puffy clouds, and let's get going. Well, I've gone just a little ways up the trail, and I'm already winded. But this is going to be a gorgeous day today. Pretty sure that's Toro Peak way off in the distance. And as I swing around to the right, it looks like just ahead of me up there, there's a RV somewhere in the canyon. So anyway, we're going to be heading that way. I'm assuming over there a few miles is the place we're heading. And we should get some tremendous views toward San Jacinto and Gorgonio today. Could be nice. You know, as I came around the corner, I saw this patch of snow, and I'm thinking, you know, this is just a small, tiny little patch on the trail. I can kind of go off to the side of it, but once I started climbing and I started getting up to the top of Combs Peak, I'm hoping that sun will have melted some of the snow, because I didn't bring my micro spikes. I left them in the car, so hopefully I'll be good today. I would think so. You know, a few minutes ago I mentioned that guy just up the trail, up the PCT Junction Trail, had an RV. It looks like he's got himself a whole complex out here in the middle of nowhere in Lost Valley. You know, if you ever wondered where those Mylar birthday balloons end up after they've taken off from your backyard at your birthday party, they end up here in the mountains. Eventually they lose their loft and they end up here, or they end up tangled up in some wire somewhere and causing a power outage. Well, I just ran into a PCT hiker a few minutes ago. He was coming up on me pretty quick from behind, so I decided to stop and let him pass me, because I'm stopping and filming it anyway. So anyway, super nice guy. He was doing a section hike of the PCT. He said he'd be at the Paradise Cafe, not today, but tomorrow. We had a good conversation about everything, life in general, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But anyway, he's already motored out ahead of me there. And even though the sun's out, it's a little warm, but that's a nice cool breeze. I'm sure pretty soon here I'm going to stop to take off my jacket. But in the meantime, it's a pretty good views here, huh? Just a little bit of snow, northeast shoulders of the hills, and that's about it. Nothing that's too tricky. You just walk around it. Haven't seen any wildlife. No snakes. It's probably too cold for them. But anyway, probably in about 15 minutes, I would imagine I'd be coming up on the turn to start heading up the peak. You know, as I'm working my way up toward this little apex in the turn here, I've got a tremendous view looking toward Toro Peak. And this is a nice day, man. This is a really nice day up here. I'm glad I came out today. Well, you can see where the trail's headed. You can see that line, horizontal line in the ridge there. And it's heading toward that little pass right there. Whew, a little windy, I could catch my breath. I saw a post saying that there's a lone tree near a big rock cairn where the use trail is that climbs up to the top of Combs Peak. So maybe that's it. I guess we'll know in a few minutes as we continue along the trail up to Combs Peak. Well, if you wonder where I came from, I'll start by looking down the trail that I just came up. A little bit of a climb. Goes into a little recessed area on the draw right there. You can see the trail that goes along the front side of that ridge. It works its way over that little pass. And then down the other side, and off in the distance, you can see the snow, and you can see that slope over there. I'll zoom in a little bit. Right at the bottom right side of that slope, that's where the PCT spits out onto Lost Valley Road. So I've gone from there around to the left around this ridge right here, and I've come out over there and worked my way along the trail over here. Well, I ought to be getting pretty close to the turn here, but the trail has decided to become quite rocky through this section. Well, at least I have good boots on, you know. Well, I should be getting pretty close to the turnoff. I'm at almost the top of this pass right here, and I'm assuming the peak to my left is probably Combs Peak. So in a minute here, I'm going to take a break for a few minutes, take off the jacket because I'm getting hot, and start my climb. Now, remember I told you that there was a lone pine tree that signified basically where you're going to start the ridgeline climb to the top. And I think that's it. Looks like there might be a little cairn or something marking the way as well, so we'll find out in a second. Off in the distance, you can see San Jacinto. They got a pretty good dusting of snow a couple of days ago, and off to the left of that, in the background, is San Gorgonio, which is 11,500 feet, and they got a significant coverage of snow up there. But that's not where we're headed. We're going to be going this direction, up toward Combs Peak. And there is my lone tree over there in the distance. That's going to mark the start of my climb to the top of Combs Peak. Well, once again, here's that lone pine that signals the beginning of our trail. And this must be the impromptu trail marker where the climb begins as it works its way up. I'm going to take a break here for a few minutes and then start heading up. Well, this is a nice little spot just off the trail here. Looks like this must be a fairly common PCT overnight stop before they head down into the valley. It's after a good little climb coming up from Lost Valley. And not only is it a good place to stop, it's got great views from here. I bet there's a good breeze up here too. Here's the campfire that somebody had at this spot, and I can still smell the ash. So they must have had a fire here last night. Hopefully the coals are cold. There was a fire that raced through here years ago and pretty much wiped out everything. And this pine survived barely. Anyway, we're gonna be going up there. First, I gotta take a break. Well, the mountain behind me right here is that's Combs Peak. That's the highest point in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. right there. It's a little over 6,100 feet and change. And I'm going to be climbing 600 feet in the next half mile to get to the summit. I'll take a break up there, then work my way back down. As we begin our climb up the top of Combs Peak, there really isn't a trail per se, but people have taken the time to make little markers along the way, so you can kind of sort of stay on track as you work your way up. Here's another one. Looks pretty straightforward. Climb straight to the top. You know, when they say it's a steep climb, they meant it. It's over, I don't know, it's like, I don't know what, looks like 30-40% incline, maybe even more than that. It's gonna be slow going. Well, just in 5 minutes, I'm already winded. I've already climbed from down there where that makeshift campsite was. And this is what I got to look forward to. Up there is where I'm going somewhere. I'm getting there. Oh, this is one steep mother. And the brush is fairly tight along the trail, and some of it has thorns, which I've discovered. I hit something on the way. I was bleeding pretty good there for a bit. It's slowed now, but anyway, we have quite the view from here. As you can imagine, climbing the highest point in Anza, Borrego. You can see where I came from just a little while ago, and that tremendous view off towards San Jacinto. The breeze feels good. It's not that hot, but you're working up a sweat climbing this hill. Well, we've come to another duct in the trail and a small patch of snow as we're working our way up. Getting there. Just gonna catch my breath. Well, pardon my heavy breathing here. You can see the trail that I was on down there. That is actually the PCT, and that dirt road that winds its way up and over the mountain over there, that's Lost Valley Road. And there's that house with all the RVs and stuff on it. That's where we came from, over that ridge right there. It doesn't look too far. We're getting there. We're getting a little closer to the top. I don't think it's right there. It's probably higher up than that, but I want to try to make myself believe that's the top. Anyway, I'm getting there. You know, when they build trails, especially trails with a lot of incline, they usually put switchbacks, you know, to lessen the grade. This isn't a trail. This is more of a scramble. And there's not really any switchbacks here. But what it does have is, it does have a phenomenal view. In fact, wow, I didn't notice it till just now. Looking off that direction right there, you can totally see the Salton Sea from here. And a lot of Anza, Borrego as we're looking south toward Mexico. And of course, all of Garner Valley. It's just stunning up here. It's just a gorgeous day. Well, I'm taking a break here. I'm at, I don't know, I'm probably over halfway up the climb off the PCT to the top of Combs Peak. And I turned around just to catch my breath and lean on a rock, and I have this phenomenal view from here. So you got San Jacinto to the left, the tall one, and then behind it, covered in snow, is San Gorgonio. And then as I spin around to the right, you'll see Toro Peak over there, and Santa Rosa Peak. And then our trail that we came up is right down there. That's the PCT. As you spin around to the right, way off in the distance, you probably won't be able to make it out in the video, is the Salton Sea and all of Anza, Borrego. And we're going to work our way around to the right, which is the trail we came down, and also Lost Valley Road. But we're not there yet. We're not at the top of Combs Peak. We got to go up there. I got to stop and take a break here. My legs are tired. You know, I've taken some pretty steep, can't even talk. I've taken some pretty steep trails in my lifetime, but this isn't a trail by any means. And it's steep. I'm a little nervous about coming down. I think what I'm going to do is stash my second camera in my pack, and I did bring a trekking pole, so I might have to use that to steady myself going down because it's steep. I'm lucky though, today it's not really hot and really dry, which would give me a little bit of that, you know, BBs on a tile floor effect on the trail, but it's kind of moist and soft, so my feet kind of leave little prints, and with these Merrell boots, that's perfect. So I'm gonna take a break here for a minute, get caught up on my breathing, and then I'm gonna continue on up. You know, this is getting more and more overgrown, but you can tell I'm on the right path because somebody has taken the liberty of cutting the bush back right here. So I'm getting there. I don't know much farther, I can't see it. It's getting tougher. Oh boy, that was a tough stretch. It's overgrown, scratchy, everything above that rock right there. But it looks like the going's gonna get a little easier. And I sure hope that's the top. Well, I hope that's the peak, because now I'm getting a view off the other direction. I can see Mount Baldy over there. Well, I'm not too far from the peak here on Combs Peak, and sorry I keep looking down, but I gotta watch where I'm going. It's pretty steep up here. And this could very well be the summit right here. All right, well, looks like I'm just a few feet away from the summit of Combs Peak. This must be it. What a tremendous view from up here. I have views off toward Mount Baldy, LA County High Point. Oh, there's Saddleback way off in the distance. That's the Orange County High Point. I've got Gorgonio way in the back. That's San Bernardino High Point. Of course, San Jacinto right there is Riverside's High Point. And over this direction is Hot Springs Mountain, which is San Diego's high point, and off in the distance is the Salton Sea. But anyway, it looks like that's the summit marker right there. Thank God I made it, huh? Well, I made it up to the top of Combs Peak. This is the highest point in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. It's a little over 6,100 feet. And according to my GPS, it is 6,184 feet right here. I don't know if you can see that. Get a little closer maybe. I don't know what the glare is like. Told us 2.61 miles from the car to here. So it's a short distance, but it's a steep climb. You pay for it. It's tough. So I'm gonna take a break here, make some coffee, maybe heat up some top ramen, enjoy this phenomenal view, you know, because you have all of Anza Borrego and the Salton Sea and all of San Diego County off toward the ocean. It's not clear enough to see the ocean, but it's out there. And I'm surprised there's no real wind here. It's almost calm. Just a slight breeze, just enough to cool me off. It's perfect up here. Anyway, it's only 11:30, so I'm here early for lunch today. You know, what I noticed here on top of Combs Peak was not only did it have the Combs benchmark, but just a little to the left up here looks like a reference mark of some kind. But like I said, what a tremendous view from up here. And over off in the distance is the Salton Sea. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the haze. It's off over that direction. Also, besides the benchmark up here at Combs Peak, there's also summit register. Looks like I got to sign that. Well, let's see who the last person was that signed it up here on top of Combs Peak. There's a little bit of water in the can. I'll let that dry out a little bit. Looks like there's a all-weather notebook and a pen. That's nice. Let's see what it says here. Well, it looks like the last person that was here was on February 28th. Today is March 18th. So I'm going to go ahead and write my name in so I can prove I was here. All right, got my name in it. Well, I'm at the top of Combs Peak, taking a break, and I'm going to make some top ramen. I've got my pot heating up here. I'm using an old GI folding stove and some trioxane tabs. It's not a rolling boil, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to get some coffee going first, have some top ramen later. There we go. This is going to be some Avalanche hazelnut latte. Stuff's pretty good. I had this before. I can get it open. This is a folding cup. This is kind of cool. It's called a Wildo cup. Ever seen these before? They fold up. They weigh next to nothing. They're made out of some kind of silicone. And they actually fit inside a pot because of the angled shape when you fold it. And it makes a pretty good drinking cup. But now I gotta find my spork. There we go. I'm just gonna use this old piece of manzanita to stir my coffee with. Can't be that dirty, huh? I kind of wish it was cooler up here. It's a little warmer than I thought it would be. Anyway, cheers from the top of Combs Peak. Tallest peak in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. While I'm waiting for my coffee to cool down a little bit, I came up just on the other side of where I was sitting. And this is a view off the other direction. And that's the entire Palomar Range. Lake Henshaw is back over there on the other side. That's a high point, and that's High Point Lookout at the top right there. As it works its way down through the observatory. And then to the extreme west, that's Orange County, Riverside County, that direction. You can see barely just to that little Saddleback Hump in the background, and the gray is Saddleback Peak. And then to the right of the rock colored hills right there, that is Mount Baldy, and then of course Gorgonio and San Jacinto that direction. And I'm just taking a break here at the top of Combs Peak, and I'm enjoying my hazelnut latte and what's left of my honey stinger waffle bar. These things are great. They're not only good for energy, they just taste good, and they go really good with coffee. You know, I'm the only one up here. Other than the one guy I saw on the PCT, I didn't see anybody else. I just wish it was a little cooler. Great views, though. Absolutely stunning. Well, I'll take about another 15 minutes up here, and I'll start packing up and heading down, get back to the car. Should go pretty quick going down. It's really steep, this next 1,000 feet going down, but 600 feet. Now, once I get back on the PCT, it should be smooth sailing all the way back to the car. I bet I can make it back in an hour. You know, as I'm looking over toward Mount Baldy, the LA County high point, you know, I noticed that that rocky peak that's in front of it. I was trying to figure out what that was. And then over to the right, you know, you have Gorgonio and San Jacinto. And I know that's Thomas Mountain, that smaller ridge line and mountain above the little town down there. That's Thomas Mountain. There's some great camping spots, some yellow post campsites up there. And I remember driving past Kauai Mountain, which I've actually climbed to the top of, and that's it. Because you drive through the Coahuila Indian Reservation, you drive around to the backside of Coahuila Peak, and you climb that one from north to south up to the summit. And from the top of that rocky viewpoint right there is a phenomenal view overlooking the valley. And if you keep going up the valley, keep going up the road, you'll go through a notch, which is to the right of Thomas Mountain, and you drop in to Garner Valley right over there. So technically this isn't Garner Valley. Garner Valley's on the other side of that mountain. And that's also where the Paradise Cafe is. So all that down there that I'm looking at, that's actually probably part of the Coahuila Indian Reservation, I believe. Well, I'm finally starting my way down from Coleman's Peak, and this is the crux of the climb as far as I'm concerned. That rock outcrop right there, just to the left of that coming up, that was pretty gnarly. It wasn't really dangerous, it was just overgrown and steep. And you had some pretty good, 2, sometimes 3 foot steps. I had to go through some overgrowth and manzanita and buckthorn and everything else. So I've got a trekking pole to help me on the way down and some gloves. I'm a little more prepared going down than I was coming up. So going down should be a little easier, I hope. Well, that was a tricky section right there behind me. This area here, that's rough. That's straight up, and there's some good 2 and 3 foot drops. Jesus. Like I said, this is not going to be easy going down. Whew. Well, that rock behind me was the tough part, coming down, and I'm not saying that this is any easier, because it's not, because this is all loose rock, and thankfully, if I were to fall, all I would do is hurt my pride and end up in the bushes with a bunch of scrapes and cuts. I'm not going to die or anything, but nevertheless, it's not something you want to do, you know. So I'm just going to take my time getting down here. Like I said, it's a quick jaunt back to the car along the PCT. It's just going up there was no joke. Well, I'm about, I'm going to say halfway down maybe. maybe not quite, but the hard part was that rock outcrop that's behind me in the video. That was killer. So it's still steep, and it's a little looser down here, so I still have to be very careful. But it's a little wider right here. Ooh. Still got to be careful. Oh, what a relief. What a relief to be almost at the bottom. This trekking pole saved me, I swear. I don't know what I would have done without this trekking pole. Not only to slow my descent, but to stop my falls. And I slipped several times. Nothing major, but it's just nice to get back to this flat and level campsite so I can take a break one more time before I head back to the car. In the meantime, that peak behind me, that's, let me switch here. Anyway, that peak behind me, that's Combs Peak. Well, I made it down safely, and I got back to the Pacific Crest Trail, and as luck would have it, I thought I heard some voices, and ran into two Anza Borrego Desert State Park trail guys. They had packs on, and they were carrying pickaxes, and they were doing some scouting out, I think, figuring out what needed to be done. Talked to them for a good 30 minutes about different things, different trails we've done and places we've been, and pointed out some peaks that are outside the park boundaries to them so they would know for future reference. And they're heading back out the same direction I'm heading toward the car, so at least now I'm back on a trail, and for the most part it's going to be downhill all the way to the car. I should get back pretty quick, probably in about an hour. Way off in the distance are those two guys from Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Some trail maintenance guys. They're working their way back to the car at Lost Valley. They said they parked next to my Jeep, so don't know if they'll still be there when I get there, maybe. Along the PCT, working my way back to Lost Valley, I ran across a PCT through hiker. He's going from Mexico all 2,650 miles to Canada. What's your name?
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride. He's got a very interesting trail name. What's your trail name?
Cranky Feet.
How did you get that name?
So I had boots that I started out with that were just completely the wrong size. And I lost a few toenails, and
that's rough.
And I have been in Band-Aids ever since. But thankfully, I've switched over to these trail runners, and they have been a blessing. Even in the winter storms, they dry out really quickly, and I think this is a better system.
And those are what? You said Sauconys?
Yeah, these are the Saucony Paragon 11s.
Okay, and they got, I'm sure on the bottom, they got some killer traction.
They do, yeah.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
pretty nice,
I
but
like
these
those.
are a new pair, so.
Yeah, I'm sure those will wear down. How many pair do you anticipate going through?
Probably 3 to 4, I'm guessing. Usually I change them out about 400 to 500 miles.
Okay. And so those cost about 130 or something, or are they less?
I didn't really, I would say somewhere around $100.
Okay. Well, if this is your main mode of transportation, you got to take care of your feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my feet are my life. So I gingerly, I dry them out. I switch out socks. Yeah, always drying my feet, trying to keep the moisture off. I think more than anything, that's how you keep the blisters down.
Yeah.
So.
And I asked you earlier, you're doing 14 miles a day, you said, right?
Yeah.
How what's your timetable? 3 months or less?
Oh, no. 6 months. I'm hoping to get back up. I'm from Washington area, Vashon Island, which is near Seattle.
Okay.
And I'm hoping like September 6th.
Okay.
6 months, and that's about 14 and a half miles a day. So
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna have to speed up in certain areas and go. I hear at Oregon you can kind of go faster there, maybe 20, 25 a day. So.
And this year the Sierras ought to be pretty good because the snow was probably, I guess up in Mammoth got hit pretty good, but from Kennedy Meadows north it shouldn't be as bad as it has been the last few years.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. When I looked at the snow forecast before I got on the trail, it did look like it was a low snow year, which is always good to do that kind of travel. But the San Jacinto Mountains here, I was not expecting these kind of winter storms at this point. So I'm going to have to take a good look when I'm eating my food at Paradise Valley Cafe.
Oh yeah, you get your beer
and
and
see
your
if
hamburger.
I can. Yeah, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, how am I going to get around? And there's a trail closure up at mile 190.
Is that
something?
Is that Apache Peak?
I don't know. It's
or is it Anza Rock?
I'd have to look. I was looking at it last night trying to figure it out.
There's a section between Apache Peak and Ansel Rock that's kind of sketchy because there's some slopes, and it snowed over pretty good, and there's some exposure. Last year, a PCT through hiker slipped and fell.
I heard about that.
Yeah, but there's been people that have done it since.
Yeah.
So it might not be as bad, but you have micro spikes, I'm sure.
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to get off at Paradise Valley Cafe, and I'm going to try to get the lowdown on the ice situation on the AT. One of the things two things I loathed: wet rocks and ice.
Yeah, well, they're both bad.
And those together, I'm like, I'm going to get some kind of traction. So whether I need micro spikes or yak tracks, I mean, or if I get my snowshoes sent down from Washington.
Yeah, you might even need.
I don't know. I'm going to talk to my wife and my parents, and I'm lucky because my parents live up here in Marietta. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that's
so
perfect.
they're gonna hopefully pick me up. I'm trying to get a hold of them.
Well, if you need any supplies in Idlewild, there's Nomad Adventures.
Okay.
And that's in town, and that's a full-blown mountaineering store.
Yeah, and I was trying to get some, like, just the most current snow report and ice report up there. I guess that I'll check the outfitters.
Okay, if you get to a place with cell reception, there's a guy that does daily San Jacinto Peak reports.
Okay.
He goes up there every single day. He climbs San Jacinto, and he hikes all the way through all of that.
Oh, no,
and he reports live every day. He did one yesterday morning for the whole region. That's why I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And he does the whole area up there. It's San Jacinto Mike or San Jacinto John or something.
Okay.
And if you just Google him, you'll find him. And if you're going to be doing that section, that'd be invaluable information.
Yeah. Well, what did it look like?
It was
around
fully
a
snow
foot
covered.
Would be where I'm.
That's what he said. He said it's about a foot, but there are some sections that are icy. And
that's right on the edge.
Yeah. Well, some of it is, and some of it isn't. It just depends on what section you're in.
I do have micro spikes at home. It's always the things you leave behind. You know what I mean?
I have some in the car.
I was like, I didn't think I was going to need micro spikes in Southern California.
Well, when I came up here, I know we just got snow last week up here.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is at 6,000 feet. Snow level got to 2,500. So it could possibly, because I was up there, it's like a 700-foot climb to the peak I just came from.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I might need it up there, if it gets icy. And it's not. It's nothing, just like it is here. So I left him in the car. But
well, I'm wondering, too, if just a few days of nice weather maybe take that snow down a little bit, too.
Yeah, probably. But you're still going to have probably northeast slopes. Yeah. So while I got you here before you run off, just give me a gear rundown real quick.
Yeah.
The ULA Catalyst.
Catalyst, that's right. 60 liters, I believe it is. Let's see, I'm going with, we talked about the shoes. I got the Ingeni trail liners for the trail. They're amazing. And then I have the Wright Brothers Cool Max over that. So that's the sock system.
And what are you carrying for a tent and a sleeping bag?
Yeah, for tent, I've got the Big Agnes Copper Creek UL1, which is about 2.5 pounds with the footprint. And what was the other one you were asking?
Sleeping bag. Sleeping bag.
Oh, this is where I really splurged. I got the Western Mountaineering.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was like
20?
$600 for.
Yeah, they're expensive.
I want to say it's rated to 15 or 20, somewhere around there. But so far, it's been an amazing pack.
Yeah. And what's the weight on your sleeping bag? Do you know?
Oof, I don't.
It's like it's got to be around the 2.5.
I would say.
I thought maybe you
probably.
were going to say quilt. You're going to get an Enigma or a light equipment Enigma or something like that and do that.
No. I when I did the AT, I was obsessed with ultralight packing, and then at the end I was like, man, there are certain things that are just nice to have, like a bandana.
Oh yeah,
a bandana wet down around your neck during the day. I was just thinking this as I was hiking. I was like, this is bliss, right?
Yeah,
here,
I know. It's nice.
But yeah, just the small things. This is more of a comfort hike, I think.
Yeah, and
than the ultralight.
What are you carrying for a stove? Are you cold
I've
soaking, or are you doing a stove?
No, I'm doing the stove. I got it's there was an ultralight hiker up in
It's a
near Harts
VRS
Pass.
3000.
No, it's an Etna.
Okay.
And it's like a knockoff from overseas, and I got it for $10 on Amazon, and it is amazing.
Really? Oh, that's good. That's good.
He told me about it. He said he found it in a UL Reddit.
Really?
And he went with it, and it's a super light, super durable, reliable stove.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I tried the Pocket Rocket too, and I've tried all different kinds, but this one is the way for
the
$10.
one. Yeah, $10. You can't beat that. Is that what that is right there? Is that is he a trail angel or something? Kind
of. Yeah, when he's there.
Oh, okay.
People stay there, yeah. But he's got water, which on this trail is life.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
But yeah, so you anticipate getting to Canada in September?
That's the plan. There's so many things going on, you can never really know. Just kind of take it
have you taken any 0 days between?
I took 3 days off for that first big winter storm. And luckily, like I said, I could hop off the trail because my parents live just right up the road. But usually when I try to take 1 day off a week.
Yeah.
As a zero.
Well, that's good though. It's good to recoup. Get a good shower, get a nice bed, get a good hot meal. Something to be said for that, and recoup and refresh. And
and
get motivated to tackle the next 100-mile section.
I think so. There's a lot of COVID has been difficult. About half of the things that are supposed to be open on a normal thru hike are not open because of COVID. Yeah. So it makes you rethink, where you're going to get your water or where you're going to get your resupplies. And I typically try to go to stores and like spread the money in local economies, but I don't know. It might be post office to post office if I can't find enough. Enough resupply stops, because like back in Warner Springs, I got there, but it was late, so the mini mart was closed. Yeah. With those hours, and you just gotta adjust.
Now, did you already mail all your stuff in advance all the way up to PCT, or are you gonna do it in sections?
No, it's all on the fly because you just never know when you're gonna roll through.
That's true. Yeah.
So
were you
I know a lot of people do.
Or were your friends and family taking care of the postage stuff? Did you give them a list of what you want and when you want it? And cross your fingers?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, my wife, bless her, she, if I call her up and I say, hey, I really need this piece of gear, then she'll just, help me out. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're able to get out here and do this. Maybe at some point I'll tackle something as adventurous as a 2,650-mile PCT, but...
Well, it is a journey, and if you look at it more as a 6-month opportunity to just see how beautiful this country really is, then you can't go wrong.
Yeah, since I'm retired, we made a road trip to Maine, and
yes,
we just loved it up there. Now we're looking at property up there. I'm thinking, I could go to Katahdin. And I'm thinking, I could do some of the AT up there. So anyway, thoughts rolling through my mind right now. Well, thanks for stopping and talking to me. I know you got places to go today. Yeah. And good luck to you.
All right, you too.
Take care, be safe, and you enjoy that gallon of water you're carrying, because you're gonna probably need it between here and there. But I tell you what, man, if I could buy you a beer now, I would.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you take care.
I would heartily take that up.
Well, I made it back to the Jeep from my my successful climb up to Combs Peak out here in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. And it looks like it was a total of 4.99 miles, including the little scamper to the summit. So, There's the, see if you can see that there, if you can see the distance. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe that's a little better angle right there. Anyway, this is going to do it for this edition of the Hiking Journal. My adventure out to Combs Peak and the highest point in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and keep abreast of the next adventures of Anthony's audio journal. In a few weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.